Hey boys, welcome back to some more Nrl Supercoach. Is going to be the first major buy round 13 team list reveal and discussion. I'll do my tips as I always do. I had a bit of a shocker last week. There was quite a few upsets last week, but this will be a very interesting team list. It'll dictate a bit of what we will want to do if we want. Depending if we make any trades, if we make one, I don't know. There could be some curveballs thrown up, so I'm excited to get into it. First game, Eels v the Sharkies. So it looks like I think Clinton Gutherson is back, which could spell some trouble for our boy Blaze Thalangi. Also, Mitch Moses. Okay, so Blaze is not even in the centers. He is maybe on the bench. We'll see. So Clint Gutherson comes back in. Sevo, Panasini, Russell, Simonson. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, but Simonson. Dylan Brown, Mitch Moses comes back in. Honestly, I didn't even really think about Mitch Moses coming back this round. For some reason, I thought it was a bit later, but yeah, for people that didn't go Sam Walker already, or like me, didn't go Wishart or another cheapie like KO Weeks, I don't hate like a pod play of Mitchell Moses. I don't think the Eels have like the best spy coverage this year. It's not bad, but I don't know. I guess you'd be a little concerned as well, just due to the fact that well, I don't know. They were talking about picking him for Origin without even playing a game basically all year. So he's definitely in the frame if the Blues lose the first match. So I'd be a little cautious. But yeah, Moses and Gutherson back in. This should be it's going to be a very different Eels team, that's for sure. Brendan Hands is his starting dummy half. Campbell Gillard, Polo. God damn it. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing. It sort of makes my decision for myself now. Like, I don't have to worry about fucking Sean Lane. So, Kalma Tuolangi is starting with Bryce Cartwright, and Joe Offengawi is the lock for Hopgood. Blaze Thalangi is the 14. Okay, so that is potentially pretty horrendous. Sean Lane, Makatoa, and Oremu Greg, the rest of the bench. So the first game has thrown up a couple of spinners. So Blaze, for me, it's not too bad because I didn't get rid of him the first go. I kept hold of him. It worked out very well. He's made a bunch of cash, scored a lot of points. For the people that got rid of him and then brought him back in, it's a bit of a kick in the guts. It's a tricky one. Yeah, it's a tricky one. We'll talk more about it in the actual preview, but again, the Eels have been known to do late switches. I'm trying to think, would they bring Talangi in? I don't think so, because the problem with Talangi, he's obviously a bit of a freak. He's very exciting, but defensively, he is pretty bad. Like, he played center, he played in the 5'8" spot. Didn't do a great job defensively, so I don't see him coming in to a center spot, really. The only thing we were hoping is that he kept the fullback spot and Gutherson moved to the centers, but Gutherson, he's the captain, he's the fullback, so it makes sense that he came straight back in. We'll talk more about it in the preview, but I don't know, do you hold him? Do you get rid of him straight away? I don't know. It's a tricky one. The Sharkies, so obviously Cam McInnes and Nico Hines are out. So Kennedy, Qatar, Ramey and Iro, Mulatalo, Atkinson, Braden Trindle comes back in. So, I guess it works out well for them. They got Daniel Atkinson some games under his belt. And now Trindle gets to, get his spot back. So, I don't know. Oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he goes. Hazelton, Brayley, Kafusi, Nickera, Wilton is the captain. Okay, so they've entrusted the young guy Wilton with the captaincy, which is a bit of a show of respect there for Wilton. Jack Williams locks the scrum. You got Telekai, Rudolph, Hunt, and Hemlin Uele. So, I mean, pretty unchanged, obviously, barring, no Nico Hines and, I guess McInnes, but they definitely have the cover. So, it's an interesting game. Fuck, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to tip the Eels, straight up. I think the Eels are going to, don't get me wrong, they're still going to be, defensively, they're not just going to turn it around completely, but Mitch Moses and Gutherson coming back in, they're going to be a vastly different team. It just gives the rest of the players confidence. Moses, the kicking game, they've missed huge. He's still arguably the best long kicking player in the comp, or at least he's one of the best. He's just a poor set. You got someone like a Moses, Cleary, DCE, those type of guys that can just get you out of trouble with a great kick downfield. They've missed that a lot. Obviously Gutherson. So I think the Eels will win this game. I think they'll be pretty good, but yeah, a bit to do Supercoach wise. I don't know. Sean Lane, again, thankfully this is the first game of the round, so I get to see maybe there's a late switch and Sean Lane starts the game. If he doesn't, if he's on the bench, then he is an automatic trade out, which again is probably good because there are a couple of guys that I sort of want in, and it was a bit do I actually trade out a guy if he's starting? But if he's on the bench, got to get rid of him. Blaze Talangi, we'll have a look. I think he's still probably he will have a negative break even, but I don't know. He might not get any minutes. He might get 5. Fuck, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Where is he gonna come on and play? That's the he's not gonna play dummy half, and fuck, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. And then the Sharkies, pretty stock standard. There's no one. Supercoach wise, anyone in this team that I'm sort of looking at? Not really. The outside backs, obviously I got Ero, but yeah, I guess people, Mulatalo was scoring a lot better with Trindle in the side, granted, so, do you take a punt on Mulatalo? Maybe. Personally for me, I'm not going to. I've got, the back line's pretty set, but I don't hate a Mulatalo pickup. He's dropped some cash. Anyone else? The forward pack, Bryn Nicola still not really living up to what he did last year. And Hines obviously missing more footy, so I wouldn't expect Nicola to score that well here. Hazelton obviously doing well, but too expensive, and yeah, nothing really else doing. I do like Jack Williams. Jack Williams for a couple of seasons, I kept thinking he's going to be a Supercoach gun. Just hasn't got the minutes. He's getting the starting lock roll now. He's an absolute weapon, but the minutes aren't going to be there consistently. So it is what it is. But we're going to tip the Eels in that one. So already some signs. So Knights Doggies. Okay, this is going to be another important lineup. So okay, I see a couple. First off, so Mapapalangi has come in for Bradman Best, who unfortunately did his hemi a couple of weeks ago before the bye. Armstrong obviously still at the back. Cogger, Hastings, Saifidi, Brayley, Thompson, Kai Pearce-Paul, you beautiful man. He is starting in the back row. Dylan Lucas, Adam Elliott, Crossland, Frizzell, Saifidi, and Jones. It's still, it is a little concerning still just having Frizzell on the bench. He is a back rower, so it could be a late switch, but I don't know. Pearce-Paul, they did say it was tipped that it was just a bit of a rest for him. He's been sensational. The games he was playing big minutes, he was one of their best players. So it would have been a little strange for him to just lose the spot out of the blue. They gave him a bit of a rest. They obviously had the bye last week, so Pearce-Paul hopefully fit and firing for this one. If you don't have Pearce-Paul, I still think he's a pretty decent pickup. I personally think if he's getting 80 minutes, he is a keeper in the second row without doubt. And I think he has the potential to trouble the top echelon. Not quite at Dave Fafita and Angus Crichton levels, but I think he's pretty up there, like with Ali Katoa, Olakau'atu, maybe a tick behind them, but I'd say pretty close if he gets a couple more attacking stats. The doggies, so I saw that, Kiraz has gone into the centres, which I didn't actually think about with Stephen Crichton missing, but that it makes sense that Kiraz would go into that vacant spot. Blake Wilson comes onto the wing. I don't mind it. I know Kiraz on the wing is better, but I'm looking at this glass half full, like without Burden, without Crichton inside of him that did some good work setting him up on the wing for attacking stats, he's going to be closer to the action. He's still going to get his carries. He's going to get more tackles. I think the base will be potentially up, or it'll still be good, and he'll get more like chances, like just attacking wise. Like on the wing, obviously he's been killing it, but that sort of facilitated by Steph Crichton inside of him, giving him good balls at times and just getting on the outside. But at centre, if they just give him some early footy, he can create a lot of attack on his own. So I don't hate it. Obviously, I don't know. I actually don't mind him playing centre with a couple of their strike weapons out. I think he's going to be used heavily with the attack. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Yeah. Don't care. I know people might be a little upset he's not on the wing, and he might, he's gone like 3 tons back to back. So he probably, I'd be shocked if he keeps going ton. But I still think he'll be pretty darn good. Obviously, Sexton's still there. Well, actually, no. Hutchison obviously comes in for Matty Burton, who will be 18th man for the Blues. Max King, Marnie, Sam Hughes starting, Preston, Salmon, and Kurt Mann. So that's the other thing I forgot. I was talking about Preston after the review last video, and I was discussing, is Salmon going to get picked again? And I mentioned that Kickout was injured. I completely forgot that, yes, of course, Preston will just come on to the edge for Kickout. So, I mean, it's good. It is good. It has left me a little bit like, again, we'll talk more about it in the preview, but I'm torn on what I do now, because there's obviously Tedesco is firmed as I don't know if he's a must. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with a Tedesco. I really want Preston, but do I really want to do 2 trades? Because I don't need numbers for round 13, but I don't know. If we get rid of Lane for Preston and then someone else for Tedesco, don't hate it. Definitely don't hate it, but we'll have to talk a little bit about that. But I do love the Preston pickup. I mean, this is what I was wanting, and he should have. I mean, he'll have the job for at least until Kickout's back, and surely when Kickout comes back, Preston will have worked his way into a starting spot, and Salmon can go get fucked, basically. And then we have obviously Hayward, Curran, Morin, and Farmasili. It's fine. Nothing really else doing. I wouldn't really look at targeting anyone else from the doggies. Yeah, no one else really stands out. I got enough dog players, that is for sure. They do cover the first 2 buys beautifully. So Preston I do love. Kiraz obviously I love. And Curran and Hughes as well, which is fine. Penny Panthers v the Dragons. So there's going to be a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes for both sides, actually. There's a lot. So Dane Laurie goes to the fullback, which I sort of thought Taruva might, but of course they got Dane Laurie back at the club. So Dane Laurie slots in at fullback. Taruva, Tungo, Alamotti. McLean comes in. Is this his debut? Jesse McLean. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about him coming through at the Panthers. Is this his debut? Maybe. It might be. Jack Cole, Snyder comes in. Mosley, Ota, Mitch Kenny, Fisher Harris, Sorensen, Liam Henry, our boys on the edge with Lindsay Smith at lock. Okay, it's not what I expected. I got to say, that is surprising. The bench of Talea, Is that how you pronounce it? Toleau. Preston Ricky, another good youngster coming through. Is it maybe debut as well? Mav Gaia and Tyrone Peachy. I love Liam Henry starting, but I don't know. I got to be honest. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a late switch, because I'm pretty sure Ricky, like Mav Gaia is definitely an edge, and I'm pretty sure Ricky is also an edge forward. So, well, maybe. I don't know. They don't really have any middles, do they? I guess both these guys probably can play through the middle. Regardless, I mean, looking at Liam Henry, he doesn't look like an edge back row, right? He just doesn't look like anything other than just an up and down middle forward, right? He's very meat and potato. So I'll be a little surprised if he does run out at second row. If he does, I'll love it. But I mean, honestly, I don't really mind, because fuck, you look at the bench, and if he goes back to the bench, he's going to play big minutes through the middle regardless. So I think Liam Henry is still very good hold. And I don't know, I probably wouldn't be picking him up. He's got a negative break even after the big score last week. I don't think I'd be trading him in, but if you held him like me, I think he is going to be a very, very solid player over the next few weeks. Then the Dragons. So, yeah, this is... Because, they got Hunt, Sele, Bird, Sewer, and Lomax out. Jeez. So, Tyrell Sloan, Sione Fainu, Moses Sully, the Fine brothers, center and wing combined. Kyle Flanagan, Jesse Marshke comes in for Ben Hunt. Frankie Molo, Little, DeBellin at the prop spots. Luciane, Fatala Mariner, and Tom Eisenhuth at lock. Can we just talk about fucking Tom Eisenhuth's defense? Was it the last game they played? Holy shit, that was disgusting. That was so bad, man. Oh, man, he had... I don't like to talk shit about players too much, and Tom Eisenhuth's been a very solid player for a while, but that was some of the worst defense I've ever seen. Like, so, it wasn't like, because he had to play center, but the tries he let in weren't like the player getting on the outside of him just with pace, like beating him with footwork and pace. He just got like pushed off, like I don't know what happened that game with him. I don't know if he was injured or what. I hope so, because some of that defensive effort he let in was disgusting, to say the least. Surprised he's kept the spot, if I'm honest. Blake Laurie, Murdoch Masilla, and the Couchman brothers. So a couple of, are they both twins? No, I don't think so, right? But that's pretty funny, having both brothers in the side. That's exciting stuff. But this is a tough game. I mean, well, no, it's not. I mean, the Panthers are missing a lot, but the Dragons are also missing a lot. And I think the Penrith boys are going to be a little bit stronger for this Dragons team. So yeah, we're gonna tip the penny Panthers in this one. I got to say, the Panthers they get pretty lucky over Origin time, right? Like, their team gets to face a fucking... Look at this weak-ass Dragon side. Like, most clubs coming up against the Panthers in the first Origin bye round, they would have, like, on paper, it'd be like a far stronger team. You look at this Dragons team, though, and it's like, holy shit, how are the Panthers, like, looking this much strong? Like, this Dragons team looks fucking atrocious, if I'm honest. Granted, I do like the Finai brothers. I think they're actually pretty good. I haven't seen much of this Sione Fainu, so a couple of good young players, but yeah, I do tip the Panthers in this one. It's a pretty nice game for them, if we're being honest. Then we have the Dolphins v. the Raiders. I don't think there won't be too much changed here. Big one, obviously, Trey Fuller comes in for Hemiso out with Origin. I wonder how many people actually held Fuller. Not that many, but a decent amount brought him in for that cash grab. Also, potentially like good point scoring ability, which he did do. And yeah, I wonder. I don't know if I brought him in at that time. You probably hold. Like it would have been tough because the fullback is very high upside scoring position, obviously, or you could get it in a centre wing that's doing the job. So you would have missed out on some points, but just to hold Fuller for the major buys would have been really nice because he's obviously going to play the 3 major buys. Like, he's actually a bit of a fucking no. I was half tempted, like, do I bring him in instead of like a Tedesco? But no, because the problem is, it's like before, when you brought him in, you're going to have to hold him for a couple of games where you're not going to have one gun fullback, which it's not the biggest deal in the world. And you never know, maybe Fido has a bit of a spell in the backup games, or like one of the games off, so Fully gets a couple extra games. It's not the worst, but yeah, he's probably a little bit expensive now to do that little play. But if you held him, holding him for the 3 major buy rounds now is a little bit of a nice play, because he's an absolute gun to watch, and he can score some pretty nice points. The rest of the team: Zarko, Avarillo, Farnworth, Bostock, Nikorima, Zakatoa. As expected, the forward pack is unchanged as well. Lemuelu, Aiken, Plath. Like I said, honestly, all 3 of those guys are tempting. I think what I was looking at, though, is potentially getting Plath in round 15. So the Dolphins, Roosters, and the Raiders do not play round 14. So most people aren't going to have too many Raiders players, obviously, but most teams are going to have a lot of Roosters and maybe a couple of Dolphins, or at least maybe one. So you don't want to get caught with too many Roosters and Dolphins players. So someone like a Plath, I'm pretty keen on, but he's got a highish break even this week. Then he has a bye next week, and then if you bring him for 15, he covers the other buys really nicely. So even like a Connolly, Lemuelu, I think as well. If you got enough numbers for round 13, you don't have to bring in a guy this week, right? Who's not going to play 14 on the backup. You can wait until after. Obviously, if money is an issue, or, break evens, this and that, maybe you can only afford them this week, whatever, fair enough. But you don't want to get caught in the backup game, because, I think, just talking about the Origin backup, last year, I think we were pretty lucky. I think most of, the Supercoach relevant guys, for the most part, backed up, at least, decently. But you never know. There could be plenty of carnage from Origin. There could be, many mass restings. So, someone like a Holmes, right? Holmes backed up in every game. He could cop a little bit of a knock. He's out. Any of these popular guys, Harry Grant, he might not back up. There's plenty of guys that could throw you for a loop. So, just keep that in mind. The bench: Josh Kerr, Kenny Bromwich, Ray Stone, Anthony Milford comes in. Dude, I love Milford, but boy oh boy, he pissed me off when he did that absolute dog shot on Reece Walsh. I couldn't believe it. I love Milford, but he fucking absolutely dog shotted him. So I'm a little bit torn on Milford now. I still like him, but I was not happy when he did that a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago now. I think he got a couple of weeks suspension for it. Looking at the Raiders, so Hudson Young obviously out. Jordan Rapiner. I still think Rapiner is actually a sneaky little pickup in the center wing. I don't need, if I needed numbers for round 13, I don't mind a Jordan Rapiner pod play with the goal kicking and everything, but again, I don't need numbers for round 13, so Rapiner for me is just a no-go. But if you got to trade up your sleeve, I don't mind him as a fucking pod play. I know he had a bit of a shocker last week, but he can be pretty damn good. Supercoach wise, Kotrick, Timoko, Chris, Savage, Strange, and Weeks. Papali, Levi, Tarpany, Mariota comes in for Hudson Young. Whitehead and Smithy's my boy. Can he just? He's been pretty shocking the last couple of weeks. Can he just have one of these? just a game where he gets like 80 minutes. Like, he hasn't done one for a while. Just a game where he plays like 80 minutes, bangs out like 60, 70 points. It'd be beautiful to get it this week. I haven't played him like the last like 4 weeks, I feel like. If he could just bang out a big one this week, if he was ever going to get a fucking try or a couple offloads, let it be this game. Let it be this game where I'm going to get his score either way. Well, if he's in my top 13 anyway. Tommy Starling, Simi Sasangi, Trey Mooney, and Emery Gula. I mean, I'm going to tip the Dolphins in this one. They were pretty disappointing last week. I mean, it's actually a pretty tough game. The Raiders, they're only missing Hudson Young. Obviously, they have a couple of injuries, but Hudson Young, the main guy from, a couple of wins. Dolphins, very disappointing to lose against a very, very understrength Warriors outfit last week. But I expect a bounce back, playing at home. Got to go with the Dolphins in this one. So, yeah, interesting game though. And then rounding out, here we go, the fucking Roosters Cowboys. There is going to be a lot of changes in this one for both sides. Oh my god, look at the ins and outs, brother. Look at it. Okay, the Roosters, the backline should be pretty unchanged. Obviously, Panga comes in for Suoli'i. The rest of it's good. Luke Keary, Sammy Walker, Hargrave Smith, Terrell May. Our boy Terrell May is starting, which is lovely. Because I forgot about that as well. When I was talking about the Roosters and Collins getting picked, I forgot that fucking Spencer Leniu. Well, I didn't forget he was picked, but I sort of forgot he was playing for the Roosters, and that means one less middle forward. So 2 big middle forwards gone from the Roosters lineup, which means great stuff for Terrell May and owners of May there. Nat Butcher, Victor Radley, and Naafu White still at lock. I mean, I would love to get in White, honestly, but I just don't think I can. I don't think I can. It's just not. It's not worth the trade, and it's not worth having more Roosters players, crippling yourself around 14. But he was damn good. Again, if you're needing maybe a player for round 13, if you don't have that many Roosters players, if you don't have Terrell May, I think fucking absolutely get in White. He looks so good at lock. Played big minutes, had some attack in him. He's got a tackle bust, he's got an offload in him. He might, Victor Radley was really good on the edge as well. So does he keep the spot? Maybe. At least over the Origin period. White's going to get some good minutes, so I don't hate it. And then the bench, what the hell is this bench? So Sandon Smith, Sia Wong, Tupanua, and Michael Jennings, the X Factor. I mean, this is good for Terrell May. It is very good for Terrell May. They've got... I mean, obviously Tupanua can play through the middle and probably will. And then Sia Wong also can play through the middle and probably will, but that's it. And they're not necessarily proper middle. So surely this is going to be a big minute game for Terrell May. Come on, surely, right? Surely. Then the Cowboys. Here we go. So Scotty Drinkwater felt. Tommy Chester is back, which is good to see after his injury. Vilea is still there. He's been pretty good. I mean, defensively, a bit hit or miss, but he's looked pretty good in attack. Braden Burns comes back in on the wing. I mean, he was excellent in his debut game for the Cowboys, so I think that's a pretty nice player to bring in. Jay Clifford in for Tommy Dearden with Townsend. McLean Granville replaces poor old Reece Robson, Griffin Neem, Hila Maluki, Finny Fuyaki, Thomas McKaylee, locks the scrum. So if you had if you went a cheapy Thomas McKaylee a few weeks ago, this is good for you. Sam McIntyre, Harrison Edwards, Shibazaki, Jamal Shibazaki. I'm pretty sure it's his debut for the Cowboys, and Jason Tamalolo. So yeah, I mean, not much doing for the Cowboys. I'm not really. Obviously, I got Drinkwater. I'm not that excited about him this week. I mean, he does have to sort of... he's got to be the main focal point of attack, so hopefully he still scores well. I'm not expecting big things from the Cowboys, though. So we will see. I mean, the forward pack is somewhat interesting. I mean, again, Helam Lukey, he is at a good price, but he's not playing 80 minutes. Too injury prone. He's crippled me before. And again, I don't need round 13 numbers. So Lukey, it doesn't cover the rest of the buys that well. So I'm not too interested. The Roosters, I mean, we talked about White. I can't get him. The big one here is James Tedesco. Is he a must-have? Like, fuck, it's pretty close. I mean, we got to talk more about it in the preview. But it is a tricky one. It is a tricky one, but I think he is almost a must-have. I mean, a big reason is just to have like a really good captaincy this week, right? Now, we do have Joey Manu. Pretty much everyone will have Joey Manu. But again, like, obviously he's gone really well at center, and he should probably carve up this game as well. But he is at center, and there's always a chance the center just doesn't see as much footy. They could attack the other side. I don't think they will, but there's always the chance. So if he was playing fullback, obviously he's a lock as captain or vice captain, whatever you want to do. But now you got James Tedesco at fullback. You got to have a safe captain. Manu is still a bit of a risk. Tedesco, not so much. We'll have to, we'll talk more about it. But obviously, I'm tipping the Roosters. Like they're missing quite a few, but I still think they'll have a few too many points for this Cowboys team. It should be a pretty high-scoring game, you would expect. But yeah, it's still a very strong Roosters team, honestly. I mean, the Cowboys, it's not the worst. Like, the forward pack should still stand up, but they have been a little lacking this year as well. But the back line is just a bit fucking all over the shop at the moment. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps up the team list. Not too much. I mean, obviously the Blaze Talangi is a bit of a dagger. Sean Lane, bit of a, it's one of those ones I'm not too fussed with. Obviously good for our boy Liam Henry. Terrell May, good for Preston starting. Kiraz to centre. There's a few bits and bobs around, but yeah, we'll have a look at the closer inspection in the round preview. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. It's a big week coming up. Could be a big moving week for some. Could be a bit of a holding week for others. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.